So today we are looking at accessing the emerging business market. One of the most important skills, I have said this several times, if you are in business and you don't know how to do marketing, you don't know how to do sales, you don't know how to do, you don't know how to acquire customers, go and get a job. Business is not for you. And even if you go and get a job, I can bet you that one of your roles or one of your responsibilities will always involve one of these three, except you're an accountant who just sits behind a computer and calculate only money and doesn't move, right? But when you are an executive and you are able to master the art of marketing, you are able to master the art of sales, you are able to master the art of, of, uh, of acquiring customers, you are able to master the art of accessing new markets, you will always be in business. You will always be in business. Because many a time, the challenge is not what to produce. Many a time, people know how to produce. Many a times, we have all gone to school and we have the skill that we can sell, we can market, and make money from it. But the challenge is always in that marketing, sales, accessing new markets, and acquiring customers. And throughout this Mini-MBA program, we have handled specific practical things around marketing. We have handled specific practical things around sales. We have handled tailored sessions around customer acquisition. We are now going to look at accessing emerging markets. And I've designed this session or this presentation tailored to the African setting, tailored to the Cameroon setting. And these are also things that I have brought them together from the different experiences of providing consulting to different companies from Cameroon to Kenya to Rwanda to South Africa and so on. And these results have been so significant with the businesses that I have had the privilege to work with. So as an executive, I want to emphasize again, you need to know the art of accessing emerging markets. And we're going to see what is an emerging market. An emerging market can be a community. An emerging market can be a country. It can be a region. It can be a continent. And that is experiencing growth in terms of population or in terms of particular activities. An emerging market can be a market whereby they have not started using maybe what you have designed, the product you have designed. Or it can be a market that is just rising. That is just rising. Maybe a group of young people who are growing of age. That could be an emerging market, for example. Like I was providing consultations to a real estate company, and I was advising them that they should pay attention to young people of our age group. Any young person between the age of 23 or 22 and 28 or 30, that is an emerging market for most real estate companies because these young people they are growing. They are growing financially, they are growing career-wise, and they will start entering levels whereby they can be able to afford land, they can be able to buy houses or build houses. So the real estate company needs to start creating strategies and programs that can enable them to target this emerging market now so that they can work with them in the future, 2, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. You never know when a young person can go and get a good job that can enable them to buy a house. You never know when a young person can start a business and 2 years after makes first 10 million and want to buy land. So you see, an emerging market can be any of these. It all depends. It's just a group of people that have the possibility of consuming your product if you present to them for the first time, or if they grew to reach the level where they can consume that particular product. So types of emerging markets, basically we have the national emerging market, those within the country or within your area of residence, and international emerging markets. And there are some elements that validate an emerging market. Follow this carefully. There are some elements that validate an emerging market. Number one, growth and investment potential. The growth potential of a particular market can be a sign that is an emerging market. The potential of investing in that area or in that market can be a sign of an emerging market. Like, for example, we have had some quarters in the various countries. They give names like new layout because the quarter is just new. People are buying lands there. People are building new houses. That could be an emerging market for you to go open a provision store. That can be an emerging market for you to go open a school because it has growth potential and it has investment potential. And you're even seeing how people are taking actions in that direction. The second element that validates an emerging market, high rate of economic growth. When you see signs that there is a potential high rate of economic growth, that could be an emerging market for you. Increase in income per capita and consequently GDP. When you see, for example, maybe if the World Bank start projecting that, the GDP of Cameroon will be this in the next 2 years, it can be an emerging market for a technology company in the US. It can be an emerging market for a real estate company in Dubai that wants to come and build in Cameroon. It can be an emerging market for a pharmaceutical company to come and build clinics or pharmacies in Cameroon, because they are seeing that the income per capita per citizen is going to increase and GDP is increasing in that country, meaning that people are going to have more money to spend. That can be a sign for an emerging market for you. The second can be increased development in core infrastructure. This element alone can validate an emerging market. Maybe you notice that the community is experiencing new tarred roads. The community is experiencing new electricity installations. Schools are coming in. Churches are coming in. What again? Internet antennas are being installed and all of that. This kind of development in the area of core infrastructure like this can be an important sign to validate that that is an emerging market for you to take advantage and go establish your branch or start a business in that particular location. The vibrancy of the youthful population of every community is the future of that community. So the strength, why is Africa considered as an emerging market? Because from now to the next 30 years or so, Africa will have the youngest population and the most vibrant, youthful population. So we are gonna consume more technology. We're gonna consume more mobile phones. We're gonna consume more laptops. We're gonna consume more internet and all of that. While other continents like Europe and Asia are experiencing an aging economy, they have more older people than young people. So many companies do not consider them as an emerging market. They are considering Africa more as an emerging market because for the next 30 or so years, we'll keep having a youthful population. So this goes down right to your community, right to your village, right to that town where you're looking at. Do you think that place where you're observing or starting a business, do they have some of these characteristics that can give you confidence that you are investing in a market that has a future? Because an emerging market should actually have a future for your business. You should look at it and say, you know what, if I invest in this market, I will have a future tomorrow because it's going to be a growing market. If you are still following, indicate that you're following.
Following, doctor.
Right. Following, doctor.
Good.
Following.
So let's go straight to the point. I've given you the foundation. Let's go straight to the point right now. When we're going to look at the framework, this is when I say framework, it means that I'll be talking about things that I strongly recommend you executives, entrepreneurs to look at when you are targeting to venture into an emerging market. Maybe you want to leave Douala and go start a business in Bamenda. You want to leave Douala, go start something in Edea. You want to leave Johannesburg and go to the outskirts of Johannesburg or to another province to start something. This is a framework that you can use to validate that, right? If maybe you want to go do something in another country, it could be Rwanda, Kenya, whatever. You can look at, this is the framework that you can look at and decide, oh, this is with this framework, you can be able to establish that you are doing the right thing as far as taking advantage of an emerging market. Because every good executive should be very intelligent and speedy enough to take advantage of an emerging market. Let me give you a short story of how we took advantage of an emerging market in 2020. COVID-19 brought an emerging market. Before COVID-19, or when COVID-19 just started in Cameroon, virtual team collaboration was not very popular. Many companies or many professionals were not using digital platforms like the Zoom, the Microsoft Teams, Google Hangout, Zoho, Slacks, and all of that. That's an emerging market. I designed a training, a certification program called Virtual Team Collaboration. A certified program called Virtual Team Collaboration. It wants to target an emerging market of people who are forced to start using social media platforms, to start using virtual platforms or digital platforms for workplace collaboration because their colleagues have been forced to work from home. And if they're working from home without the right skills to collaborate on projects, on documents, and serve customers, they will not be able to work efficiently. That's an emerging market. And we designed that training, we did that training back to back for different sets of people and employees and professionals. We made money from it, we created impact, and we took advantage of that emerging market. So you see, an emerging market can pop up from anywhere. It's just for you to have the eyes to see, oh, you see, this group of people, this set of people rising, this is a potential market that I can design a product and sell this market next 2 weeks, 1 month, and so on. You see? Good. So let's look at it quickly, the practical framework. Number one element that you need to look at when you want to access an emerging market is access market history, insight, and foresight. What does that mean? If you want to target Douala as an emerging market, for example, it is your responsibility to access market history. What does that mean? Look at where the market is coming from. What is the history of that market? Where is that market coming from? What are the challenges in that market in the past? Then you look at the insight of the market. What is the present condition of the market? What are the present things happening in the market at the moment? What are the core elements happening in the market at the moment? What are the various critical things that are currently happening that I need to take advantage of? Then you can look at the foresight. The foresight is you anticipating, where is this market going to? What is the future of this market? What are the things that will define this market in the future? Who are the key players that will define the market in the future? If you are trying to venture into an emerging market, you don't know the history of that market. You don't know the present condition of that market. You don't know the potential future of that market. I can guarantee you're going to make a mistake. You may end up investing in the wrong direction. You may end up investing in something that doesn't make sense at all. So this is the first element to look at in a framework for accessing new market. So if you're listening to me and you're planning to venture into a new market and you have not done this, make sure you go do this after this class. Number two, intentionally change location. Yes, it's possible to identify an emerging market, but if you don't move, you may not take advantage of that market. If I identify that, oh, look, there is a big market for me to do training in another African country. Yes, I can identify from here, but I may have to intentionally relocate to that African country or travel there for a few weeks or a few months and live there and do business there before I can take advantage of that emerging market. There are some emerging markets that you will not access from your base. You need to intentionally travel to that place before you can access it. You cannot send somebody. You cannot sit and recruit somebody virtually and expect to be effective. Systems will not be there. So you may have to go there as an executive, as a business leader, as an entrepreneur, and take action in that particular market. So you may have to move. Maybe you need to go and get a visa right now after this session. Maybe you have been afraid. Maybe you have to go get a next bus ticket. But you have to be part of that market before you can access it properly and take advantage of it. Number 3 is one of the best ways to access to access emerging market is to leverage on professional networks and collaborate. What does that mean? Sometimes you may not just travel and expect to take advantage of an emerging market. You will need somebody who is living in that market to collaborate with, to work with, so that they can teach you maybe the history, the insights, and the potential foresight of that market. Sometimes there are some markets that on your own, you cannot be able to access it. So maybe you can be, maybe if you're part of the JCI network and you want to go to Rwanda, you want to go to Tanzania, maybe you can try and connect with the JCI president in Tanzania, connect with them, ask for advice, ask for open doors and collaboration and endorsement and recommendation and so on. That can enable you to actually take advantage of that market. You see, you can join the Yali network. You can join ISEC. You can join. You can leverage on any professional network to take advantage of an emerging market, or you can collaborate. You can search people in your industry from the comfort of your home in Cameroon. You can partner with LinkedIn. Go on LinkedIn. I've done that several times. When I'm going into a country, many a time, if I have some space time, I'll go on LinkedIn and I look for professionals in my sector. I establish a connection with them. I talk with them. I tell them I'm coming. Sometimes they organize an event, I come and speak there, or they tell me, have an upcoming event, can you come and speak, and so on. Sometimes they take me to their radio stations, to their television stations, and so on and so forth. You see, and that's why I get to access emerging markets by talking on different radio stations and TV stations and get myself known in that community. And boom, that's how I build a name, a local name in that particular emerging market because of collaboration, because of networking. So do not undermine the place of professional networks and collaboration when it comes to accessing new markets. It is one of the most powerful strategies or elements that you can use to access emerging markets. Are you getting some insight? Keep going.
To the perfect side, sir.
All right. Let's proceed.
Yes.
Let's proceed. Number 4 is leverage on franchising and network marketing model. It's one of also a powerful way to actually access emerging markets. You can do franchising, or another company can access an emerging market through you by franchising with you. Like for example, if you know the KFCs and the McDonald's, they're in some countries because it's through franchising. They give you a franchise. You buy the franchise, you pay a yearly fee to the company, and you represent their brand in their country, in their community, and they're good to go. We have done the franchising through BMD Africa. There are training centers in different African countries that organize trainings in their countries, and they train in our name. And when they train, we certify, and we have a fee for each student that they collect fees from. There are some countries that we have done work there. I've never been there. I've never been to Tanzania, but we have trained people as a in Tanzania. I've never been there. That's franchising. That's me that's us accessing an emerging market from the company in Cameroon. We have done work in Malawi. We have done work in many other African countries, certifying people there. Meanwhile, we just have partner training centers who buy our franchise and they need training in these areas, and we certify them. They use our curriculum, they use our training methodology, and it's amazing. You see, we are making money from a market we have never been there physically. You see, right? That's us accessing new markets. Another one is network marketing models. Like, for example, it's very popular in Cameroon. There are many network marketing companies in Cameroon doing so well, having thousands of members. Meanwhile, the founders of those companies have never been in Cameroon before. a senior executive of that company has never been in Cameroon. But just because maybe somebody in another country is able to build a network, build a team of people, and recruit through Facebook or social media and sign up somebody in another country, and that person becomes a leading network marketer in that country, helps the business to access that new market easily. So network marketing is a business model that you can use and access new markets, emerging markets, and scale your business and dominate in that particular market. So think of ways that you can use franchising, you can use network marketing model and venture into new emerging markets where you see opportunity, you see a future, you see that there's a potential for your product or your company to do very well for the next couple of years, and why not decades. Track economic policies and think long term. There is no way you can talk about accessing emerging markets when you are not tracking economic policy. You want to venture the Cameroon market as an emerging market, maybe you want to sell fintech products. You need to track economic policies. What is the government saying about mobile money taxes, for example? What is the government saying about moving money between different wallets? What is the government saying about regulation around cryptocurrency and so on, right? You need to track economic policies by the government and understand them before you can see whether it's a market you want to take advantage of. You can track the various tax policies around foreign companies, around import and export. You can track all of that. And you need to think long term. How will these policies affect the business negatively or positively in the long term? But by all means, you cannot talk about accessing emerging markets when you, as the executive, when you, as the visionary entrepreneur, you don't intentionally create time to track and understand how economic policies work in that particular market and how you can manage and adapt with those policies. You get the point? So your responsibility. If you don't know, if you do not want to do it directly, you can hire an expert. There are some companies that when they come to Cameroon, they get to hire my services. My job is to get all this, why you should look at, this why you should look at, this why you should pay attention to. These are the current policies as far as it's concerned. Pay attention to this, pay attention to this, look at this, look at this, look at this. Then I can give them a recommendation. Okay, based on this, do like this. Based on this other thing, do like this. Based on what is happening, do this and do that. Because that is why you're going to win. Because if you ignore government policies, government economic policies, it can hurt your business. It can shut down your business if you disrespect the policies. No matter how good your business is, no matter how many people you're employing, if you disrespect government policies, it can cost you your business. And you need to think long term. Look at how is the government evolving in terms of government. There are some governments that they are consistently bad in terms of economic policy. 10 years ago, they had bad policies. 5 years ago, they had bad policies. So there's a possibility that next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, they're going to have bad policies if it is the same government in place or the same political party in power. It's your job to analyze that. And if you want to remain there, you should have a plan B on how you are going to adapt when that is the case. Do not assume, that's element number 6 when it comes to accessing emerging markets as an executive. Do not assume, use data available or find it. When you are accessing an emerging market, do not assume that the market is there. Use data, find data. If you cannot find secondary data, go to the field and create primary data. But find data. What is the World Bank saying about that country and the emerging market? What is the IMF saying? What is the African Development Bank saying? What is the National Institute of Statistics in that country saying about that market? How many people are there? How many people of what age group are in that market? What is the income level of an average citizen in that market? What is the economic growth level of that market? What is the per capita income? What is the GDP? You need to have all of these handy. Do not assume. Use data available. If there's no available data, find it. Go to the field. Spend time in the field. Hire researchers. Hire statisticians if you can. If you cannot, learn the basics. Go to the field. Do what you can do, but Make sure you find your version of the truth by making use of the data available, or find the data and analyze it before you make your final decision if it is the right business move for you to access that market, or you can wait 2 years later before you try to access that particular market. As I've told you guys several times, grammar does not build a business. It is numbers, data that build a business. Assumption is an enemy to every executive. Use data to make informed decisions. And it's very important when it concerns emerging markets. Very, very important when it concerns emerging markets. Oh, this is doubling again. Number 8, master key operations, which includes 3 key things. Well, we spoke about a third one already: distribution, moving money, and economic policy. We're going to focus on distribution and moving money. We're speaking about economic policy. Be careful about a market that has challenges when it comes to moving things, moving goods, especially if they are dealing in goods, not really in services. Like, for example, in Cameroon, it's a challenge. Most Cameroon houses, not most, majority or if not all Cameroon houses do not have house addresses. Most streets are not numbered. So that is a distribution challenge for a business that want to access this emerging market, that needs things like that, logistics like that, for them to effectively distribute the value that they create in the form of the product. So you need to, if you want to enter into an emerging market, one of the things you have to master is the distribution model that you're going to use in that particular market. What is the best way to distribute goods in that market? What is the best way to buy things from point A and move to point B? It's a job to master that. Is it best to use commercial motorbikes? Is it best to use taxis? Is it best to do it yourself? Is it best to partner with startups who are into delivery services? Is it best to use bus agencies to move? Is it best to parcel services? Whatever, it's your job to find it and master the distribution that model you want to use. You also need to find what it means to move money in that particular market. Here is somebody. It is the movement of money that makes the business. It is the movement of cash that makes an economy. Be careful to venture into a market where they have difficulties moving cash from one point to another. They have difficulty moving cash from that country, if possible, to another country. This is one of the biggest things killing the African market. Just to move money and move goods from one African country to another is a terrible experience. Very terrible experience. But look at economies like Europe, Asia, and America. Look at one thing that they are good at. They are very good at moving people, goods, and money. An economy that can master the art of moving people, goods, and money efficiently, speedily, without any barriers, that economy will go places. Let me emphasize on this again. Look at how much it costed the global economy when there was a global shutdown as a result of COVID-19. Look at how much money was difficult to come by. Look at how much just to sell services was becoming more difficult during that particular period. Yes, it's possible. Why? Because the whole world was grounded. A community where people cannot move, goods cannot move, money cannot move is a dead community. It's a failed community. So when you're venturing into a market, you need to make sure that there are ways to easily move these things. Right? So finding cost-effective ways to build broad, deep sales and distribution coverage in emerging markets is one of the most critical challenges facing every entrepreneur or executive. So it's your job. In some markets, you will not see existing systems. You may need to develop systems and make it work. For example, if you go to Asia or you go to Europe, you may not need to develop existing distribution system or new payment gateways to make money move or distribute goods and services. But in Cameroon and some African countries, you may need to invest time, money, and technology to make sure that you have a perfect system that can distribute goods, services, and money. So when accessing an emerging market, pay attention to this element. Do not guesswork this particular element. It's going to cost you. Number 9, leverage on technology. Yes, one of the best ways to access emerging markets is leveraging technology. Like this Mini-MBA program we're doing. I think we have like 5 people from different countries. All the whole class has people from 5 different countries. We are leveraging on the Zoom technology to access the South African market and train them, to access Dubai markets, to access the French market in France, to access guys in the US, to access all of these people in various different cities across the world. So how can you use technology to actually access emerging markets? There was a client I was working with. Let me give you a powerful story of accessing emerging market from Cameroon using technology without being in that market. There was a client I was working with. She sells craft, right? So she buys craft from semi-urban areas and sells in the US. But she has never been in the US. So here's what she does. Her model is she snaps pictures here. She buys this craft, she takes it to a photo studio, she snaps very good pictures and so on. And she posted on Facebook and carries out a paid ad. And in that paid ad, she's going to select that this particular Facebook ad should only show itself to people in California, to people in Chicago, to people in Texas. Although the ad has been done from Cameroon, paid in Cameroon, but only people in the particular location where they have chosen are going to see that ad. And when you see the ad, you're going to get her contact, you're going to sign up, and you're going to order for the ad that she's selling. And then she ships from here through DHL or whatever means to you in your address in Texas or in California without being to that market physically. So she's leveraging on Facebook technology, leveraging on the platform of connecting with people, and leveraging on payment gateways to pay for art in different countries. And she is able to sell and make money in dollars, meanwhile she has never traveled to that particular country. That is leveraging on technology to access emerging markets. There's another lady I've worked with, she makes shoes. She has clients in Europe and America, but she doesn't do paid ad. But just because she posts on Facebook, she posts on LinkedIn, people from all over the world who are her friends or people we share to their networks, and their friends can see from different countries, they contact her and they order her shoes, and she gets to send through somebody who is traveling or through a distribution agency, and it goes deliver. She makes money. Meanwhile, she has never seen an aeroplane. Leveraging technology to access emerging markets. As I said one time, one of the most powerful skills of the present and the future is the ability to acquire digital knowledge, to acquire digital tools and convert this digital knowledge and digital tools to create a service, to create a product or create a project that can enable you to make money and make impact at the same time. This is a very powerful skill for you to master. So if your knowledge of digital platforms is weak, you may actually be losing the opportunity of learning how to access new markets, leveraging on this particular technology. So, questions, as I said, very straightforward, key frameworks, key elements to just pick and do, pick, learn, practice, and start doing. Questions? Let's brainstorm now. You can raise up your hand. Raise up your hand, let me see you. For those of you who have been thinking of venturing into new markets, what has been your greatest fear? You can raise that question in this class. What has been your greatest fear so far? Yes, raise up your hand. Yes, Gerard, go ahead.
Good evening, Doc, and good evening to all the experts in the house.
Good evening.
Yeah, number 8, which is the mastering of key operations.
Yeah.
Actually, remember you linked me to one guys in Southwest during regarding the business I'm about to push out.
Yeah.
That has to do with an e-commerce platform solely for agricultural products.
Yeah.
I think we've been talking on the key problems that the company actually posted to me, which is actually challenging. It has to do with distribution of perishable products.
Yeah.
So we've been brainstorming on how to resolve that issue. So when you were talking on this aspect, it's like you were talking to me and the business we're trying to push out. So though we've not yet, we're supposed to have our next meeting on Thursday, but I have some proposals that I've brought forward, and to me, in as much as these solutions will comfort, what you said is right. In most African countries, especially Cameroon, it's really difficult to push to distribute products, especially with our poor nature of roads and unmarked addresses and things like that. So it's just like a contribution that I was wanted.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And those are things that when you pay attention to, you avoid making some mistakes that will cost you a lot of money and you not ending up venturing into that market and succeeding. Yeah.
Definitely.
Thank you for raising that. Yes, Helen, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Say, on that practical framework to access the emerging market.
Yes.
Intentionally changing your location. To me, I think it will be too bit costly if you haven't made enough a profit to do that. Because changing the location, you need some finance now.
Yes, of course. Of course. But again, if you cannot remain in a location where you are not experiencing progress the way you want, right? So, but you should be changing location. You should be thinking of accessing emerging markets. Also, when you think that you have saturated your current market, and of course you can finance yourself to access another market. You want to change location, but of course, if you are not able to change location, why not think of franchising? Why not think of collaboration? Why not think of little marketing model? Why not think of leveraging on technology? Since you cannot finance the changing of location. That was just one of the frameworks that you can look at if that would be the case.
Thank you, sir.
Awesome. Yes, Joseph.
Okay. Good evening, dear executive, and thank you so much, Doctor, so far for the lesson of today.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, I am particularly concerned with the point 6.
Yes.
Under our practical framework of accessing emerging market.
Yes.
Which is talking about we have to find the data concerning the market.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my greatest challenge is there are some things that we normally desire to get information about, but it is also difficult finding this data. So like you made mention of what is the World Bank, what is the African Development Bank, what is the National Institute of Statistics saying about that particular market in different areas.
Yeah.
Now, I want to know, how do I get access to this information? How do I get access to read about this from the World Bank, from the African Development
Yes.
Bank, and from the National?
Many of these institutions publicly publish all of these their research. Go on their website, you're going to see them there. As simple as that. Many of them publish all of this research publicly. They have PDF documents you can download from their website and read all of the research that they have done. So just pick any of them, go there, you're going to see it.
Okay, then, sir.
Awesome. Yes,
Okay, thank
Executive
you.
Umaru.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, thanks a lot about the lecture today. However, I just have a small worry.
Yes.
Accessing the emerging market,
Uh-huh.
does it come simultaneously with your business idea validation, or which one comes proud?
Okay. Now,
and should I go ahead or?
Yes, hold on, let me answer, then you can go ahead. Now,
okay.
With accessing emerging market, it works better when you have already been successful in your base. But it is possible when you are thinking of a new market, when you are still doing your idea validation, it's a new idea, that will be your primary market. It's not that you are really trying to access it. It's because you have seen that there is a market that is rising and you want to develop a new product for that particular market, right? But for somebody who has an existing business, who's already running and they have saturated their current market and they're looking for more avenues in a way they can serve more people, have more customers and make more money, they can then access those emerging markets. So if it's still an idea and idea validation stage, it's not really an emerging market, it's just because you have seen an opportunity. It's a market where you have seen an opportunity and you're designing a solution to take advantage of that market.
Okay. If I may proceed.
Yes.
Now for the practical frameworks, point 3 and 4,
yes,
which says about leveraging on the professional networks and collaborations,
yeah,
as well as leveraging on the franchising and network marketing. Are those two seemingly like partnering with another similar business?
Yeah, you can partner. No, when you're leveraging on collaboration, it could just be that you have seen somebody who has a skill, or you have seen a business that can complement your business and you can collaborate with them to make it work, right? Like, for example, we run a training center in a country whereby they have the vocational training center. But the things that we train are soft skills and business skills and professional innovation. So we use we use their space to do the business. So there's a complement, right? We complement each other. Because the aim is there should be a clear way of collaborating.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So, and in this particular case, of course, the agreement of collaboration or partnering or franchising should be very clear. The conditions of doing this should be very clear, documented, and both parties have a clear agreement. You know what you're doing, the other party knows what they're doing.
Just to add, please.
Yes.
For example, let me take a practical example. A company that deals only on the real estate.
Yeah.
Now, is it like a partnership or a collaboration if it gets involved with another company that deals on, let me use something like, okay, point seven, like moving money.
Yeah.
Whereby the clients of the real estates do their transaction within that company.
Yeah.
However, they are using a skill of another company. Is it like partnering or collaboration?
The two. Because it all depends on what is the benefit to the company, and why is the client using you? You get a point? The client can be using the money transfer company to move money and giving it to the contractors working on the real estate, because maybe the client thinks that it's going to be faster, it's going to be less costly, and there is easy way for accountability. And maybe the client doesn't want the family members to know that he or she is building a house, or let the money pass to the family member's house. You get the whole concept. So it depends on them. Why is the client choosing you, and what are you giving to the client as an added advantage for passing through the mobile money company to send money to a real estate contractor or company that is doing the job? What's the value? What's sponsoring that? And then that can happen. That is partnership. That is collaboration. That is complementing each other for the success of the two companies to make money and serve the client.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yes, for Minion.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Good evening, Prof. Thank you for this opportunity and for the class. Actually, for the lecture today, there is something that actually touched my mind when it comes to tracking economic policies and on number 5, a practical framework to access emerging economies. The number 5, which says track economic policies and think long term. Well, actually, I've been a little bit skeptical about these African countries, because some of the policies are not actually being made by the parliament of the country, is being made by leaders. For instance, the president can just pass a decree at any time and say this is what happens, because we've been trying to assess a business in Angola, and we've been a little bit skeptical of what can happen. And this one just popped up again, that in Cameroon, the police have been sent that the money that you have to send with MTN mobile money, have to pay 2.2%, that and like that. So it's actually worrying, because it's that the African market is a little bit volatile, because the leaders are not actually doing validation before taking before releasing their own policies and so on. So how do we do with things, with issues like that, if we want to access African market? Because I think tracking the economic policies, they might take us to another direction, because I've got friends also who have fallen into this same situation. After doing the tracking the policies and so on, they just automatically change the policy, like that, and their business just crumble. So which other can we look at it?
The truth is that you need to track the economic policies and always be ready to adapt when there are changes. And in a business setting, there are many things that you can put in place when you are dealing in a market like Africa, where we have strong men instead of strong institutions. Like, for example, the issue about mobile tax in Cameroon. One thing I think that issue had, the issue with this tax system had, is that there was poor communication, because many people only heard about it when it went operational, but very few people heard about it when they were debating this thing in the parliament or passing the bill in November or so. You see, so one thing about this is having the skill of adaptability and always having a plan B when running a business in Africa is very important. Like, for example, when you're running a business and making profit, you can decide and create a reserve account just to keep money there, should in case there is a policy that can affect your ongoing operations, shut you down, reduce your profit. In the meantime, you can always have some money to back on to replan, re-strategize, venture into a new business, or try to adapt to the new law and increase production or whatever that you can do. So the secret here is adapting. Adapting when the laws change and having systems in place that can facilitate your ability to adapt, because you cannot abandon the market. You cannot fight the government. Your job is to learn about existing policies, try to adapt with them, keep on doing business, and always have a plan in a way that you can fit in when things change.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, Marvis. Marvis, are you there? Joseph, go ahead.
Good
Okay.
evening,
Okay, good evening.
everyone.
Yes. Good evening, Marvis. Go ahead.
Actually, Doctor, this is just my second class since we started this Mini-MBA program because I actually felt sick and my condition was not, I wasn't permitted to be using my phone while in the hospital. So I have this question I want to ask regarding we want to open a company like a transport agency, not in Cameroon, actually at Cotonou. So the CEO keep asking questions, and when we give him points, like he will tell you to go to the internet and search other companies, transport agency companies in Cotonou, and tell him the differences and tell him what they are not doing that he will need to do.
Yeah.
But when you get into the internet, you can't get the information. So we proposed to him that it's better we go to the field, get there, move around the agencies, and then we can gather enough data and analysis. But he turned down the point. So at this point, everyone is just confused on what to do.
All right. Sorry about your health, and thank God that you are here now. Well, I don't know what he's insisting upon, but that is the wrong move for him. Very big wrong move. You cannot gather data from the internet when it concerns that kind of business. There is something in business I always say it's called find your version of the truth. On the internet, you will read what they want people to see on the internet. On the internet, you're going to read marketing strategies. On the internet, you're going to read branding. On the internet, you're going to read very good things. So if he really wants to identify the gaps in the market that other companies that are not filling, here's what you guys have to do. Number one, identify the top 3 performing transport companies in that area. The top leading guys. Get a point? Number 2, you have to go to the field. Go to the field, go to these agencies, observe them. Observe how they sell tickets. Observe how they welcome customers. Observe all their processes. Are we there? Then step 3, which is strongly recommended, one of you or the staff needs to pay that bus. Lose money, take the money, go pay a ticket, enter the bus, travel to another location, travel back, observe the driver driving, observe the comments that are happening inside the bus, take down notes, come back and go back to the drawing board. You're going to build something that is more sustainable and much better than what you want to get from the internet. If I were the boss or the CEO, that is what I would push for. You get the process? So if he's really serious at competing and designing a better service, then he needs to leave his comfortable office chair that has an AC and get the hell to the field for about a week or 2. Gather the right data, right observation. Then it's going to build a better product or better transport service.